I have open on my laptop Final Draft, which is the industry standard screenwriting software. I would recommend buying this or using Caltex, which is a free online software which also formats your scripts properly. This is much easier to use than Word. The formatting is so particular, you'll spend more time formatting than writing. So if you haven't already, sign up for Caltex or download Final Draft. When you begin writing a scene, the first thing you will start with is the scene heading. There are 3 key parts to writing a scene heading. I'm going to start one now. Int, John's bedroom, day. It starts with INT or EXT, which stands for interior or exterior. This is really important because your scene can only ever be one or the other. If the scene starts inside and ends outside, that needs to be formatted as 2 scenes. The reason why is because, remember, this is a blueprint for making a movie. Interior means either a set build, a soundstage, or a real life house to hire. Exterior potentially means shooting in the public, shooting on a studio backlot, or maybe even a green screen. So that's why you start with it. Next, you give your location a title. If it is a real place, like Times Square, write Times Square, New York. If it is a character's home, write John's flat. Aim to be specific, such as John's kitchen or John's bathroom, as again, it's for the production designer or location manager to source later down the line. Once you have named a location, stick to it. It will make tagging the locations quicker once it moves into production. Finally, you add a dash and write day or night. Don't write dusk or sunrise. You can describe that next in the action. This scene heading is potentially for scheduling. A night shoot is different from a day shoot. Hit enter and now we're onto the action. In the top middle, you will notice the Elements tab has changed. Click it and you will see an array of options. We will come back to this shortly. Now in the action setting, we're going to start describing the scene. You know when in a movie the director shouts, "Action!" This is why. A scene starts with action. John sits on the bed anxiously. He jumps up and reaches under the bed. Removing from under the bed, he takes out a small shoebox. Inside, there is a gun. Notice how I don't write any description of the room. You can if it is an essential detail to the story, but it is a common mistake to go into too much detail. That is for the director and production designer to come up with in pre-production. The best way to approach action is to think of yourself as a reporter on the radio. You are an observer, whispering into a dictaphone, describing what you are seeing. Don't talk about what the character is thinking in their head. Film is a visual medium. Talk about what you can see. Now let's move on to dialogue. Mum, off camera. John. Please excuse my bad acting. As you can see here, I've swapped the Elements tab to character, given the character a name and hit enter. The script has automatically formatted my next text into dialogue. If a character is speaking but you can't see them, add in brackets either off camera or voiceover. John. Coming. John frantically hides the gun as we hear Mum's steps coming up the stairs. Another important thing to say about formatting is that character names should be written in capitals. It helps the actors skim read to find when they're in a scene. It's also important as sometimes characters don't have any dialogue in a scene, so putting it into capitals makes it clear they are physically there. If you're describing a character who is not in the scene, you can put them in lowercase. That's the key difference. So here we have the beginning of a scene. As you can see, the page uses space to communicate different aspects of the script. This allows the different departments to skim through the script to see the relevant information for their role. Actors can just look in the center of the page. Cinematographers and producers will generally just look at the top and the action. Now, I'm not saying that different departments don't read the whole scripts. Eventually though, all the key information will be stripped out and turned into call sheets or sides. Sometimes actors are only sent the dialogue, for instance. So that's the basic format of a screenplay.